What's the use of being legible when nothing inspires you to take notice of it? Wolfgang Weingart lived 1941 to 2020, made typographic posters for 40 years. So, a lot of posters. He's known as the typographic disruptor and the father of new wave Swiss design. We'll get there. That's right, Swiss. Yes, he's German. I was a bit confused too. So, one day, Weingart was interested in printing and stuff, so he attended a 2-year program in applied graphic arts at Merz Academy in Stuttgart, Germany, which led him to a 3-year-long apprenticeship at Rue Printing, a printing company in Germany. There, he met Karl August Hank, who made really cool art, but also happened to be an official member of the Nazi Party. However, thanks to Karl, Wolfgang was influenced to go study in Switzerland, which is where he met two well-known typographers, Emil Rudert and Armin Hoffmann. He moved there shortly after and became an independent student at Basel School of Design. From 1968 to 1971, he taught typography at the, I looked this up, get ready, Kunstgewerbeschule, at Vocational Arts School in Basel, Switzerland. Now, this is where things got real. At the Kunstgewerbeschule, Wolfgang Weingart was tasked to teach his Swiss style to the students. However, the students didn't quite follow those rules. They potentially felt too creatively diminished for the harsh rules of the Swiss design that came from the 50s. Instead of being upset, Weingart saw this work and took it as inspiration. He decided to break the rules of Swiss design and typography altogether. This is where I also find inspiration in my art. I love seeing the success of people who destroyed creative rules and made their own new style. Because, as they say, Dada is nothing. Dada is everything. Now, the reason why I love Wolfgang Weingart and not Dadaism is because Wolfgang still took inspiration from the rules of Swiss design. You can still see it in his work. The bold sans serif, negative space, weight balance, all of it. Dada, on the other hand, tells one that even a dust bunny in your pocket is art. Now, Wolfgang states, I took Swiss typography as my starting point, but then I blew it apart, never forcing any style upon my students. Now, after teaching some graphic design summer programs at Yale, Wolfgang lectured and taught abroad for over 40 years. Europe, North and South America, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. This guy was everywhere. The way I view his experiences as a teacher is that while he was teaching, he was also learning from the minds of his students, further experiences, and new ideas. He only really locked into just studying the art for a couple of years, and then from then on, it was just making stuff whenever he had free time, even if he was teaching multiple classes. Here are some of my favorite works of his, especially this one, because it has color. Not many of his other works have color, which does make sense, but he makes this one work very well. He primarily created in black and white because, first of all, he grew up with not much access to colored photos, and secondly, I'm sure it made it a lot easier to do what he wanted with the absurdity of his designs and layouts if color wasn't added into the mix. For 20 years, he was a member of the Alliance Graphique Internationale and made stuff like this. He was also on the editorial board of Typographische Monatsblätter magazine for 10 years. I find these designs slightly simpler. Although he was working for a typography magazine, he was still probably held to rules and standards during this time. Lastly, he has a collection called Typographic Process. These are posters made during his teaching of the class called Typographic Process, and I'm sure he'd show them to his students as examples. And everything I've shown you is featured in his book titled Typography, My Way to Typography. And it shows 40 years of his work along with an autobiography of his story as a designer and how he got to where he is today. I am just in awe of how he grasped the ability to put his creativity on anything. In anything that's about Wolfgang Weingart, whether it's a magazine or a book or a poster, it includes his designs on the front cover, presenting him as this revolutionary artist. He helped creatives understand that they didn't have to follow any rules as long as they're happy with what they've made. I love taking inspiration from people like this, such as Tyler, the Creator, or Childish Gambino, because they show the world that art and creativity is only controlled by your mind, and whether or not you decide to give it rules is completely up to you. Most artists stick to one thing. such as music, but Tyler and Bino have both produced films as well, and Tyler is well known for his clothing brand. Although Weingart stuck to just typographic posters, I see the same qualities in him as people like Tyler and Childish Gambino. I mean, just look at how cool he looks, all nonchalant. Weingart created a very captivating style. I can tell that he values the importance of making someone stop and stare at your poster for a while. He puts words in unusual places and still makes it understandable using geometry to guide the viewer's eye. Here, let's take this piece for example. This is how I looked at this poster for the first time I saw it. I started with the bold words in the middle, and then this line guided me over here to these lines, and those lines are pointing this way, which leads to these lines, and then these ones bringing my eyes straight to the information at the top. Those words in this cutout bring me right back where I started, making a complete endless loop. And he's just sitting there all smug about it. Oh yeah, also, a lot of his works almost look like a mix of printing, drawing, and magazine cutouts. In the same poster, he uses all black and white except for one color, which also creates lots of interest for me. All in all, Wolfgang Weingart was a very inspirational artist, and he definitely lived his life to the fullest when it comes to graphic design. Weingart once said, "The problem with the world is that the intelligent people are full of doubts, while the stupid ones are all full of confidence." So, take your doubts and turn them into fuel. Realize that having doubts means you're doing something different, and sometimes being different is the best way to succeed.
That's great.